When you can actually see your profit for the year in dollars and cents, it gets you more in the notion of selling corn, knowing that I can lock in a $50,000 profit or whatever the profit is. You want to lock it in. If I know I can make that much profit in a year, I will be in business next year.
Good afternoon, welcome to GrainTV. My name's Cody Bills. Today is the 12th and we had the market moving here on the back of 4 USDA reports that hit the market. We had crop production, we had the WASDE supply and demand report, winter wheat seedings, and quarterly grain stocks all influencing prices today. Let's turn over to the iPad and see where we closed off the day after the dust settled. Corn trading up 1 3/4 cents, soybeans down 35 3/4 cents, and wheat in Chicago trading down 8.5 cents. Let's dig right into the numbers. We'll start with corn production here. You'll notice that yield was revised sharply lower from that December report. We had yield at 171 bushels per acre for corn. That's down from 173.4 bushels per acre. So that's a pretty significant revision. We had analysts guessing around 173.3. All in all, this is pretty darn. This is kind of a bullish story here, with production being revised lower. Now, one thing that I want to keep in mind here is that quarterly grain stocks just didn't come out very positive here for corn. When you look at the quarterly grain stocks, we came out at 11.203 billion bushels. That's up from the average analyst guess, which was looking for about 11.123 billion bushels. So this is not very bearish. What this means when you look at the quarterly grain stocks is that feed usage wasn't there. We saw that revised in the balance sheet. We saw feed usage revised lower here, so that demand was revised lower. When you look at ethanol production, we are running ahead of pace here for ethanol. We saw that reflect about 25 million bushel increase there for ethanol production. So that's very positive. But all in all, what we saw at the end was ending stocks revised here. They were revised lower down to 1.877 billion bushels. So we're down to 1.877 billion bushels. Yes, that is a bullish number. Analysts were guessing on average 1.927. So that was a bullish number. But when you look at the fundamentals and you look, all right, where does price go from here? I would look at corn and say, well, the feed usage demand wasn't there. You have export sales, which are only on pace with USDA expectations, so that's not overly bullish. That's not going to make the market move sharply higher. We have ethanol, which was revised higher here in this report, but when you look at the energy complex, do you expect that to be what really props up a bullish move? I would say probably not, especially when you look at the overall price of energy, when you look at ethanol prices, and when you look at ethanol stocks, which are pretty high right now as well. So all in all, I look at corn and say I'm more concerned that we're going to see increases in production in South America, and bottom line is I think that corn is probably going to move sideways to lower here. I would be more concerned about a movement lower than I would be expecting a movement higher here out of corn, even though we did get a positive report. When you look at the price action for corn, you'll notice that we were very kind of wishy-washy immediately. We traded up, we traded down, and in the end we kind of closed off about a penny and 3/4 higher here, which isn't the kind of strong conviction that you want to see out of a price move when you get a bullish report. I think all in all, guys, be cautious with corn. I'm not as bearish as I am soybeans on it, but I do think that there is room for downside on this grain. Let's talk a little bit about soybeans here, because what we saw in soybean production is an increase here in yield. We saw an increase in acreage and an increase in production. Yes, we did see an increase in export sales by about 10 million bushels. That helped offset this increase in production. That kept ending stocks right there at 410 million bushels. That was a problem because analysts were expecting to see about a 17 million bushel decrease in ending stocks down to around 393 million bushels. We didn't see that. We saw ending stocks stay right steady. Bottom line, when you look at soybeans, I am very concerned about soybeans prices here. I think that there's a very good chance we could slide lower. Yes, we have had very strong export sales, but these are export sales that I wouldn't be surprised if we're running ahead of pace just because of the crop conditions, getting the crop into the ground down in South America. There were delays. It pushed the crop further and further. More of the crop went into the ground at the same time. We know South America is susceptible to logistical issues. I think that the grain buyers out there, the large importers, they recognize this. They're looking to the U.S. to be able to provide that consistent supply of soybeans with the expectation that there will be logistics delays. I think that has helped cause our export sales to be kind of propped up here at these levels. But yes, we do have very strong export sales, but we also have a very high chance that we'll see increases in production estimates out of South America, especially when you look at the precipitation down there. I think if we continue to see positive precipitation and the precipitation patterns that we've been seeing here in the last couple months, we're going to probably see higher production out of South America, and that's going to be overall bearish here for soybeans. So, you know, you look at soybeans, and yes, they did have slightly better than expected quarterly grain stocks, but you look at the ending stocks here, I think it's bearish. I think when you look at the price action, it's definitely bearish. Look at the price action here in today's trade. This is a daily March soybean chart. You see, immediately after the reports hit the market, we traded lower, we trended lower the rest of the day. We hardly came up for air. To me, this is the kind of move here that I would be concerned about. I think if you're a producer out there, you got to be looking at new crop production, you got to be looking at prices now. You might want to get something locked in here because I think we could have a lot lower to go if this thing starts sliding and breaks through the lower side of the range that we've been trading in. Let's talk a little bit about winter wheat seedings here because the price action in wheat was very interesting. You'll notice, first of all, we did see ending stocks increase significantly for wheat. It was higher than the trade was expecting. That was bearish. That's why we're trading lower here. But the one thing that is kind of a silver lining is the winter wheat seedings. You'll notice that the actual winter wheat seedings numbers here came out at 40.452 million acres. That's below the average analyst guess of 42.564. We know that the condition of this wheat, this winter wheat out there, is deteriorating. We've had some winter kill scenarios out there. That's going to be bullish on the market over time here. I think when you look at the seedings, this could be setting the market up, not necessarily this week, and not necessarily next month, but this could be setting the market up for later on this spring, possibly having a bit of a bullish run. I don't think that's going to happen right now because when we look at wheat right now, we need to see export sales. We haven't seen export sales pushed onto our books. That's why we rallied to the lofty levels in response to Russia here curbing their exports. They curbed their exports. We would expect to see some of those export sales hit our books. That hasn't happened yet. We need to see a pickup in export sales before we see wheat turn around. But I think this acreage number is very interesting because this could set the stage maybe for a later bullish run later on this spring. Other than that, guys, that pretty much wraps up my interpretation of this report. If you have any questions about what I talked about, please give the office a call. Number is 877-472-4607. And remember, if you haven't done so already, go ahead and take a demo at grainhedge.com. Take a 14-day free trial. See what it's like to have live quotes in the palm of your hand on your phone, on your iPad, and also see what it's like to have a desktop platform that gives you tick-for-tick update in the grain markets. Thanks a lot for tuning in. We'll see you here Tuesday.